Hi there, it's Benetta here from Your Anxious Teen, and today we're going to talk about connection. I reckon this is something that's really something that we struggle with as parents, right? Why I wanted to do about connection today is because when our teens become anxious, they tend to want to hide away, right? The thing that we find is they either want to run away, spend time in their room, be on their own, or they want to fight. All right, so it's the fight or flight syndrome. If they want to fight, they might throw a lot of stuff at us. You know, it's your fault that I'm the way I am, that you don't help being the way you are. That is just a response from their body and their mind, okay? This is not personal. So when I decided not to take that personally, when I decided that it was about the way that they were feeling, the hurt that they were feeling, whatever anger issues were coming up for them, it really made a difference in the way that I connected. When we think about our teens, okay, they're right in the middle of being a child and an adult. And that's really hard for them. Being able to, I suppose, not allow themselves to be ruled by us or do the things that we want to do, right? People please. But also starting to feel that they can step into their own power and their own being and who they want to be. So it's very, very hard for them. And as parents, it's hard for us, right? Being the person who sits there and sees that they're, running away from life, but not knowing what to do about it. So I'll just talk a little bit about my own experience and also about the experience that I had with a client yesterday. So my own experience was that I have always tried to be a bit understanding. So I would sit there and I would ask, what's the problem? What's going on with you? But my son, being a very sensitive individual, just didn't want to go there, right? Didn't want to go there at all. And so he would say, nothing's wrong. But I knew there was, because being a mother, you sort of tap into that, right? But if he doesn't want to talk about it, then the best way to go about this is, I'm curious. I'm just curious why it is that you want to sit in your room and not be with us. I'm just curious about your day, right? How did it go today? Oh, yeah. And try and listen more than talk. I'm a big talker. So therefore, it was very much easier for me to talk about stuff, right? To start to ask a lot of questions. And that's probably not the best way to actually help. I didn't even realize that he was particularly anxious or that he might have been suffering from depression because he's a very insular person, okay? So when you find that it's that insular person and that they don't want to talk about their feelings very much, it's hard, right? He just never let on that he was having problems. He did actually find a therapist. That was before I was a therapist, and I wouldn't ask him to come to me anyway. But he did find a psychologist who helped him quite a lot. And the psychologist told him, I'll always be there, right? We can't guarantee that. We can't guarantee we'll always be here, right? For whatever reason. So he guaranteed him, I think he was 15 maybe at the time, or 16, that he would be there and that if he ever needed more help, he could contact him. In fact, that therapist actually moved on to hypnotherapy, which is, I don't know, I suppose that's a good move really, but it wasn't a good move for my son because he actually moved into virtual gastric banding and helping people with IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome. And so therefore he wasn't there for him. And I think that was a bigger blow for him than his actual, I suppose, problems at the time, right? Because when somebody says, I'm going to be there for you, like we imagine our parents will be, but not all parents are able to cope with the things that come up, right? But saying that was a big blow for him. He never really found a therapist after that that helped him as much as that guy. So what I want to say to you is that particularly boys have this way of hiding away and saying everything's okay and have few words, right? Don't want to feel their feelings and their emotions. So I will talk a little bit about my client from yesterday who said, I don't go to a therapist because I don't like talking about my feelings. And I said, okay, that's all right. What about we talk about how you move on in your life, how you, I suppose, leave that anxiety behind. So I gave him a few techniques. And one of the things that I asked him to do was to journal. If anything came up for him where he was feeling less than able to cope, or that he was feeling anger and he didn't know why, then I would get him to journal it. I said, you can bring the journal next time if you like, and we can talk about it. Or you could just think about why that has happened. And I explained about how from the ages of, 0 to 7, we feel things very deeply, and we learn about ourselves and we learn about the world. And so when that happens, as boys particularly, and sensitive boys, they will push down those emotions. They will want to not recognize them. So they push them right down and they stay there. And then they get triggered by whatever's going on in their life, and that comes back. So when I explained that, and when I said to him, it's not you, it's your subconscious mind. So consciously, you wouldn't want any of those things. Consciously, you wouldn't want to be angry about stuff. So subconsciously, he's holding on to it. So when I gave him all the information that I gave him, he felt a lot better about himself. It's not me, it's my brain. It's that subconscious brain that's trying to protect me. When people hear that, particularly young teens, they really, I suppose, can allow themselves to have those emotions and feelings, right? Allow themselves to be curious about why they're there. So I think the more informed these people are, the more informed that we are as adults and parents, in that, what they're going through is not our fault, but we can do certain things to help them, probably in a better way. One of the things is to try and be curious about whatever is happening with them, but not try to fix it. The more we try to fix all their problems so that they don't feel hurt, the more we disempower them to find their own solutions. When they have to find their own solutions and they have to take responsibility for whatever they've done or said, then it encourages their conscious brain to also find solutions for other things, right? Because if we can do this, then we can do that. So when they come to me the next time, I will say, so how did you go? What is it that you found out about yourself? It's that sort of like, okay, what can I find out about myself, my personality, how I deal with things. What would I have done differently? So that you can also do, right? As a parent, you can do that too. I'm curious about why you did this, and what did you think the outcome would be, right? If we can tap into something as well that our teens like, and we can get more connection with them, then we can do that in lots of ways. And I have to say that I went to a lot of Pokemon movies. I did Pokemon Go. I learned how to play some video games because that was the way that we connected the easiest, right? Find something that your teen will engage with you in, and then you can feel their mood, right? You can feel what today is going to be like rather than push all the buttons. The other thing was when he was playing music and the type of music that he was playing. So I would listen in to see what type of music was playing. I would encourage him to have his friends around and play those games or to play music, because that reminded him of better days, days when he felt happy. I remember when he actually came to do some hypnosis training with me, and he said, I don't know what the point is because I can't feel happy. I don't know how to feel happy. And I said, well, let's just go. Let's just go and see what happens, okay? And the best thing happened was that he met 3 other people who weren't even his age group, some of them, and he really connected with them through the days that we were there. And by the end of it, he said, I know how to feel happy now. I have felt that again. So whenever you remind them of better times, or you take them out to do something new, and you can feel, you can see that they're happy, then that will just reinforce that they can find happiness again. Because when anyone is depressed, I think the thing that goes out of the window is hope. And as parents, when we've got children who are anxious, it's that hope, that thing of, well, maybe, just maybe, we can find something that connects us to them, that we can talk about, or that he can find, or she can find, a therapist that really understands them and can help them on their way. One of the things that I would say to you is how you respond to what they tell you, okay? It might not be what you want to hear. I remember when my son refused to shower for a while, and it was terrible to go out with him because he looked, so disheveled, wouldn't do his hair, etc. And I said to him, I'm curious to know why you would want to be this way. And he said, I want people to know how I feel. He couldn't express his feelings with his voice. So therefore, he expressed his feelings with what he was doing with his body. So if you have a teen who is really finding it difficult to cope and to find a solution for this anxiety that they're feeling, another thing I would say to you is to tell them that it's not a mental illness. For me, it's not a mental illness. It's a state. It's a state that their mind has gone into, which then gets their body to respond in a certain way. So it's a state of mind. And that state of mind can be changed, right? It can be changed. I'm sorry. Really, because when they understand their mind, when they understand what's going on and why their subconscious mind is taking them to these places, what triggers they have, and know that that's all there are. They're just triggers of some remembered times when they felt either stressed or if they were under threat. So feeling unsafe. When that person goes back to that memory, it triggers a bodily response. Easy, right? The more easy we make it for our teens particularly, and even our adults, to understand, then it makes it less of a problem. It makes it less of taking over their whole thinking, right? Change the focus. Focus on happiness. Focus on what's outside. Go out in nature. Just go and find one friend, even if it's on social media. Somebody who might like you. Somebody who might engage with you. If they can do one person or one thing, make one step, then they can see that they can do it. And I want you to see that the drama or victim triangle can be broken by you saying, see, you can do it. If you can do that, what else could you do? I'm curious, are you? To find out what you can do even more than that. And if they take one step, just one step, then they can take more than one step. And if they start retracting back into their old self, say, I'm curious to know why you think that was a good move. Why you're sitting in your room again rather than going out and doing something. And I know that this COVID time has been really hard on people. It's been really hard on all of us to be able to accommodate it and work around it and through it. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth being able to say, if this is the worst, how could it not be the worst? A pandemic, right? That's gone on for over a year. If this is the worst, then you can get through anything. And that's how I feel, right? Is that if we can get through this with just our sanity intact, then we can get through anything. So let's go through once again about connection. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can ring me on my number, or if you'd like to connect with me, you can get to me by youranxiousteen.com, just to help you through this time, right? Through this time of indecision, through this time of finding that connection with our teens so that they can be resilient. And when we find resilience, we can get through anything, right? Just like I explained to my teen yesterday, who was my new client, if you can get through this time in your life, you can get through anything. And that's sort of made him smile. The other thing I also found was use a little bit of your own struggles, right? And also to laugh. When someone's in an anxious state or depressed, they find it hard to find anything humorous or fun. So let's bring some fun and humor into our everyday life, right? Even if that person is anxious, they can always laugh. And quite often they laugh at themselves. If they've done something, I say, have you ever done something really stupid? And they say, oh, yeah, I did that. But what does that feel like now, like 2 or 3 years on? Can you see how you've grown, how much you've matured? And they go, oh, yeah, as I said yesterday, so look at that 3-year-old self and the tantrum you might have had. How does that feel now? Would you have a tantrum about that right now? No. No, because we grow, and through the teen years, we change so much, right? Everything that used to be, I suppose, a trial becomes trivial. So just rethink it, reprogram it in your mind and reframe it. What does it really mean to you right now? So all the things that are causing your teen anxiety will be a drop in the ocean one day. Let's make it that way. Let's connect with them so that they can understand how much they can grow. So, listening rather than talking, right? Even when it's something that we don't want to hear, we need to hear it and play it down. So it's the way that we react to those things. So if we can react in a more, oh, that's interesting. Oh, what made you think that that was okay? Or what did you think the outcome of that was going to be? So ask more questions because there will be things that come up that you might think are irrational, that are strange to you, that are not within your belief system. And so I'd like you to think about the way you react. I'm curious. Oh, that's interesting. Would you like to tell me, why you might have done that? What was your thought process at the time? What did you think the outcome might be? And the more that we connect with them, the more calm we are when we connect with them, the better. The more calm they can become. So I always say to my teens, take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, close the world out so that you can concentrate and focus. And the more you just focus on your breath for a while, close your eyes, allow yourself to just be, then discuss what you need to discuss. Even if you think that it's going to drive your parents crazy, rather they know than they don't know, because it's being kept in the dark that really upsets us as parents, right? Is that we can't help if we don't know what's going on. So allow them to just tell you and say, I might not like what you're going to say. I'm not going to take it personally, but I'm just going to listen. And it may be that there's very few solutions to what's gone on. It may be that they need to find their own way and their own solution. So you might ask, so what do you think the solution is there then? The more that we allow ourselves to connect, the better. So thank you, Adair, for jumping in here. And I love people to ask questions. I love people to connect. So if you want any solutions, or you think that, I have no idea what to do, I may be able to help, I may not. It might be something that we haven't, thought about before. But I'm sure between us, we can talk and we can find some solutions and we can start the ball rolling in a different way. The more we connect with each other, the more we connect with our teens, and the more that they can try and connect outside of themselves, okay? So connection for me is a huge thing. And the thing that I can always pat myself on the back for is that I have always been there and open to discussion, and also open to, whatever they're saying to me. And it might be something that I'm like, maybe that's a bit too far, but I try not to show it. I always try to keep an open mind and say, okay, well, let's see what we can do about this. Because keeping it inside will always be a problem, right? What I say is that keeping it inside and burying it is the worst decision you can make, because that hurt will only hurt you more and more. And that quite often will become a physical hurt, right? If we keep in anger, we find that it sometimes bubbles up outside of us, and the person on the end of that doesn't deserve it, right? The person that does deserve to let go of it is you. And there's no point in holding on to anger and hurt, because all it does is bubble up, hurt us, make us feel terrible. So let's celebrate, shall we? Let's celebrate being the parent of a teen who is going to one day look back and go, holy crap, what was all that about? Because that's probably what you're doing and what I'm doing right now, is that some of the things that we've done or said, holy crap, why did we do that? What's all this about? But the more that you understand the subconscious and what's going on underneath, then the more you can deal with that in an appropriate way. So I hope that today has been insightful for you. And if you need any help, please reach out. I'm open to answering any questions that you send to me. And also you can have the notes from today and the Chaos to Calm download, so you can listen to that and help you to just take a few moments out of your chaos. Love talking to you today. So I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.